Hey everybody, it's Mike with Monkey Fab. It is Saturday, which I usually get most of the work on the cars done during the weekend. Saturday, Sunday. Uh, the week sometimes just gets busy, and or I go to the gym like a few days a week, and then I'm just like wiped out, and don't feel like doing anything. But I try to force myself to work on the car, but it is, that's just fact. The weekends is when we get it done. So it's Saturday. Throughout the week, I've been, tinkering on the car the best I can to get stuff done, a few hours here and there. Um, I'm at a bit of a point where, I'm not terribly sure what to do next. I kind of believe that I'm going to move to the fuel system is what I think I'm going to do, but I was going to just skip you can see I got this is the factory Mustang uh, anti-roll bar or sway bar, if you want to call it. So I got the axle all mounted up, and you guys saw that, and everything's cool. I'm pretty happy with that. And I loaded it a little bit, and it seems to be doing well. So I originally thought that I'd have a problem with the arc of the axle. Can't really see there. Yeah, you can. Versus the length of the sway bar and where it needed to mount at. And let me grab a light. Throw a light down here. I started looking through my big old factory manual that I have for this car, and come to find out that these guys, I thought they were exhaust hangers. That one and this one over, where is it at? Over me. This guy, right here, doot, is the factory sway bar for this body style. So I don't know if there was a police version or there was an ultimate version, the one that got the clock, right? Those guys also got the anti-roll bar or sway bar. That mounting point won't work, and I'm not really super, I don't think it's the greatest. It's just kind of spot welded in there onto the sheet metal, and it doesn't look like the strongest thing going on in the world. And not to mention, these bars here are out further, and they don't really lend themselves, because it would be kind of on this arc here, because this bar is kind of shaped for whatever, however it sits in the Mustang. I don't know. My little stabilizer links here are squished. I'm not sure if the guy with the forklift, when he was pulling the axle, squished those or what happened, but they're both sides are completely smashed. So what I did is I threw this up here, and I was looking, and it ties in here on the axle, and it doesn't really interfere with anything, so that's all good on both sides. And that will put it, I loaded the suspension, and that'll kind of put it in this arc here, where it's in this line. I don't know, maybe you guys can see that or not. But what I thought about, what that made me start thinking was, why not go ahead and see, flip this around, go ahead and, well, those discs are just too shiny, it's messing it up. Okay, so what I was thinking was to go ahead and mount the bar across this guy from the factory mounts across, bring it into the actual frame rail, the frame rail, and weld it into here, and use some 2" by 1" 10 gauge steel to go across there, and then I can make it a bolt-on mount to the frame rail, and also tie it in with the factory one, so I have, twice. And this is all, the frame rail is pretty thick, it's probably 14 gauge, I'm guessing, so I can use like 1/8 and burn that in nice on that, so that'll tie it into there. And later, if I wanted to go to like a coil-over suspension or like a 4-link type of deal, that I could use that same to tie it in, or I could bring a roll bar down into that to tie into the back. So that's kind of my solution. And then I was in a hurry. Well, I was in a hurry that when I ground off all this crap off these axles, you guys might have saw that video. I was like literally punch drunk. I mean, it was like 4 hours of grinding. It's ridiculous. And my hands were hurting, my brain wasn't working, and I literally threw everything away. And I don't know what I was thinking. It just wasn't, because I needed these. I should have saved these pads for the anti-roll bar and the little clamps that go over top of them. Didn't. Threw that away, and that light is killing me. So so I got to looking, and they were like $25 a piece for the little clamps that go on top of them, and then I was looking at those links, these guys that are smashed, and they were like $50 each, so it was like $150. And on Late Model Restoration, which is the Mustang Ford specific website here in Texas, I think they're around Waco area. All the Ford guys know them, and it's great if you're doing any kind of rear end stuff. They got all the stuff you need. So I looked on their site, and they had like a whole fancy aftermarket billet set up for like $160, free shipping too. So I dropped the order for that, because I was like, it's like $10 more, and I get like all the stuff. I get polyurethane bushings, which I'm not a huge fan of, but whatever, they're greasable, which is nice. So when they start squeaking, which they always do, you can just throw, some grease in the Zerks, and hopefully that will shut up the hell up. And it comes with a billet, like little fancy arms that go around that replace the stock one, so I'll be able to just cut those out. So I'm waiting for that stuff to show up so I can finish up the anti-sway bar stuff. And I don't want to finish the front end until I have the fuel rails, fuel ran. I was thinking I didn't want to run the fuel lines until I got these pieces welded in. I wanted to wait on the stuff so I get all laid out. But I think I'm just going to run the fuel lines anyhow, and that way I can just drop them down when it goes to weld time. Just drop them down, pull them out of the way. I'm just going to put in P-clips anyway, probably. And so that was a really long, rambling explanation, but that's what's been going on this week. My mindset, I was just going to roll with what I got, get it on the road and moving. But it was like, man, this is so close to just everything wanting to work nice. I have to sit down and you think about it. It's fun, part of the fun of these cars for me. I know a lot of people just like to drive or race, or maybe they'll like to swap out their wheels every other month. But for me, it's making the things, sitting down like a puzzle and kind of piecing it together in my mind. How do I do this? What do I need to do next? And I really enjoy that. And that was the rear end, so we had to sort through that. That stuff's in the mail. So Late Model Restoration, LMR, had that stuff in the mail yesterday. It's already in Houston. So like, I ordered it, and I felt bad because I was like, I got an email from them. I was like, well, I'll check the tracking on it. And I feel like one of those people like order stuff and then go wait by the mailbox, but it was like literally already in Houston. So it should be here on Monday, no doubt. And that's like super fast. So big shout out to those guys. They do great business. And it's not the first time that I've worked with them. I've been real happy with everything I've gotten from them. So without further ado, I think we'll maybe get the fuel tank in there and start looking at, what I have to do is I have to pull the trans. I'm gonna need to, because I need to access this trans tunnel. So the tranny is up now. Look at this fancy Sonex thingy that I was told to get, and so I got it, and be happy when I get the drive shaft put up in, that'll be awesome. And but yeah, I gotta pull the transmission out so I can run these lines for it. But before I do that, I'm probably going to measure for the trans dipstick, since it's kind of where it needs to be, and then I can get actually be easier to run the fuel lines, because I plan on running them around the back like I always had it. Come in around here, come back around this stuff here, run down here, and then maybe here we'll kind of run, you can't see anything, as we get towards the frame here. I want to run it back in over the mount and up through the transmission tunnel, which there's room for days up in here. I mean, literally, you can probably got 4 inches between the transmission and tunnel since I've moved everything forward a little bit, so plenty of room there. But it'll be easier and smoother to run that stuff with the blah blah run that with the transmission out. So we'll get that out, we'll get the fuel tank in, and follow along at home. It'll be fun, I promise. Man, I have to cut that down. I've talked way too much, I know it, but there's all these thoughts in my head, and I wanted to get them out there on videotape because I can always go back through it later and delete what's not needed. So that's what we're going to be doing, I think. And yeah, man, join in. It'll be fun. Microphone chickity check. All right, so we got the transmission filler checker thing, right, meow, stabbed in there. I just stuck it up and I tried to go one way, it didn't work, went another way. It's good. It's able to find a nut on or a bolt sticking through the firewall for the air conditioning system. That happened to just line up pretty well, so we just punched it into there. Had to widen the hole a little bit, which is no big deal. I'm used to widening holes, and we just stabbed it in there. And then we got the fuel tank all thrown up in the chassis, back up in the chassis massy. These shackles, man, they're so particular about how you want them to go on. Like this side, I did it this way, and I played hell getting this bottom bolt in to here because there's no way to pound it in, and it was a disaster. So I flipped the other side around. So then when I went to torque him, there was plenty of room to torque up here, no big deal. But on this side, you couldn't torque because the trunk kind of went down, and you can see there's no way to get a goddamn torque wrench in there. So I had to just do it by feel. I did it by Braille. On this side was fine, but if I flip them around, then the bolts on the bottom stick into the gas tank, which was a problem. So I had to take this guy, and I just took a Sawzall to it and buzzed it, so we're good. And yeah, painted up the gas tank so it's nice and all one color. It's gonna look like a show car when we're done. It's gonna be definitely like show quality, show car level quality, maybe. So that's good, and I had to do that because I need the trans jack, because I'm gonna pull the trans out now, and then we're gonna start looking at running these fuel lines. Okay, so maybe what I'm doing here deserves a bit of explanation, so let me give that to you. What I'm doing is I'm laying out everything for the fuel system. Before, what I had is just dash 10 running all the way up, and it was going a single pump, single filter post pump, which turned out to be bad juju. When I pulled this thing apart, it was filthy and just full of crap, so that made me think maybe my system wasn't as clean as I originally thought it to be. And I don't think the E is going to make it any better, so I got a couple more filters to do pre-pump, which is good practice anyway, but you know, it is, sometimes you cut a corner, and then you wonder why your pump died. Well, that can be part, but my pump's working fine, knock on wood. So we're going to go, we're running PTFE line, and I don't know if you've ever seen that or familiar with it, but basically, see if I can bring it up to you. I sell this stuff, and it is, see, that is Teflon on the inside, and it is good for E85. Now it is non-conductive, and people will tell you things about not, like, you have to have conductive hose, and then you say, well, AN hose isn't conductive. You see, mind your own business. So, but just keep in mind, you know, best practice is to use conductive hose. I sell this non-conductive hose. It's like half the price. It's good stuff, and that's what I'm using for my system. We're going to use dash 10 to the filters and the back of the pump, and we're going to use dash 8 wide off the two pumps in through a post filter, and then all the way up to the fuel rail. And returning, I think I'm just going to use, I might use some dash 6 PTFE, just we'll see how it goes, running the original one, and I have some stainless steel tube, and we'll see how that goes. So if I get frustrated with the tube, which sometimes can happen, then maybe I'll just swap it out with the AM line, which is a bit easier to use. One thing I don't have is I don't have a shutoff valve, and I didn't think about that, but I was like, you know, as dirty as this filter was, I'd like to keep a better eye on my fuel filters, and the only way to check those is to take them out. So I was getting ready to install this, and I thought to myself, well, how are you going to get them out? You know, are you going to play the is the tank almost empty game every time you want to check your filters, or are you just going to order a couple shutoff valves? So I just got online, ordered a couple shutoff valves. I'm not really being a big rush, so I didn't do anything to get them, you know, here especially fast. It'll probably take a couple weeks, and that's fine. I have so much other stuff to do on this car that you know, when they show up, we'll install them. But what I'll do is I'll basically work out the system from the pre-pump, from the pre-filters to the pumps to the filter, and basically we'll figure all that out back here, and then we'll go up to the fuel rail, and we'll run the line back from the fuel rail to the post pump filter, and then I'll tie it all together, and then the return will be just basically like that. I do have a flex fuel sensor, so I'll need to kind of work that into the equation as well, but that's all really simple stuff, and that's what I'm doing right here. So if you guys are watching me do this at Mach 7 speed and wondering what was going on, that's what's going on. You're just laying everything out, getting everything ready. Hey everyone, so I appreciate you guys dropping in, checking out the video. I started putting it together, and I realized that it's just getting too long and I'm talking too much, but sometimes I just have a lot in my mind and a lot that I want to put out there, and I realized there wasn't a lot of action in today's video, a lot of forward progress, but there was progress made, and I didn't want, even though it's Labor Day today, I didn't want to disappoint my 2 or 3 steady viewers out there. So I wanted to throw together something anyway, and I think this is a pretty good place to end this video. So there'll be a lot of action tomorrow. We'll finish this fuel system, we'll smash it up into the car. It's actually already done, it's already in the car right there, but we'll get that done. It'll be all on tape, and we'll kind of string it together in some kind of cohesive manner. And I appreciate all you guys dropping by, checking out the video. This is Mike Monkey Fab. Until next time, signing out.